everyone, it's Bilingual Bailey here. So I am on my lunch break and I figured I would just get on real quick and kind of talk about how I got started learning Spanish. So I had taken a couple years of Spanish in high school and middle school. My level of understanding in Spanish when I got started was slim to none, to be honest. I didn't really retain anything that I had learned in school, except for a couple like basic vocabulary words and commands that my teacher had used. So what I did was I looked up a lot of resources on the internet of getting started learning language on your own. It was pretty intimidating. What I didn't do was I didn't buy workbooks or anything like that. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing and you feel like it helps you learn, then go for it. I didn't use it personally. So I started by downloading apps on my phone and just kind of, doing it for fun. I had Duolingo and Memrise. And then when I decided I wanted to get real serious about it, I happened to find a lesson on Memrise for the 1,000 most frequently used words in Spanish. I highly recommend doing this. I think before I had found it on the Memrise app, I looked on the internet to see if I could find anything, and everything I got kind of varied. So when I found it on the Memrise app, that helped a ton. It took me like a couple weeks to learn them, so every time I learned a new word, I would say it with the app when it would introduce it to me. I said it along every time I did the word, and I'm trying to remember what else. Oh yeah, I wrote it down too. So writing it down, that's kind of what kind of learner I am. So if I write things down, then they seem to solidify in my mind a little bit more, and it'll help with your reading and your reading of the language and your basic understanding grammatically. So I wrote everything down as I learned it. I would write the word in Spanish, and then I would write the translation in English. And I also, did with the review, which you'll be prompted to do if you do choose to do it on the Memrise app. I don't know if it's still there. I tried looking for it in Russian to see if I could find 1,000 most frequently used words in Russian, because it helps me so much with Spanish, and I haven't found it. So Memrise, if you're watching this, put that on there, because that helped a ton. I think it increased my level of understanding a lot. I would say I understood 50 to 60% of what I heard after that, just by learning those 1,000 words. It takes time and dedication, but it's definitely worth it. I also watched episodes of Extr, which I've talked about previously on my blog. It is a educational show that you can watch on YouTube. They have them for French, they have them for English, and they also have them for German, I think, and obviously Spanish. So I watched those. If you look for it on YouTube, it's spelled EXTR @ instead of an A, it's the @ sign. So try to remember that. Actually, I'll put a link below for the Extr episodes, because I love them a lot. The reason that I loved them is they helped build my listening comprehension of Spanish as I was learning these 1,000 words. Then I could turn on the subtitles below in Spanish, kind of pick out the words, so I could read them as I was hearing them. So sometimes when you read it, you might read it differently in your head than as it's actually said. You could get in the habit of that with a word. So it helps to have the subtitles on so you can read it, you can hear it, and you know whether or not, you're saying it right and how it sounds. Yeah, then I started kind of just using the Duolingo and the Memrise app to learn how to structure my sentences and build sentences. What I love about Memrise and Duolingo, but what I love about Memrise, I'm a big fangirl for Memrise, is that they will teach you how to say the expressions in Spanish. So, for example, things that you say in English, you cannot directly translate into Spanish because it would be incorrect. An example of that would be, so if you're saying like I'm hot in Spanish, like it's hot, I'm hot, you would say, you can't say estoy caliente. That's incorrect. You would have to say tengo color is the actual word for that, phrase for that. So what I liked about Memrise is it teaches you those things that you otherwise wouldn't know, because I I did that. I directly translated it, and then I would say it, and people would be like they didn't know what I was talking about, and I couldn't figure that out. So when I learned how to say it correctly through the Memrise app, I really appreciated that. You'll also notice that as you're watching, you know, your episodes of Extr or whatever else you choose to watch. Anyway, it's coming kind of a long video, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. So 1,000 frequently used words in your target language. That's my number one recommendation. Brush up on your conjugation. If you don't know it, try to remember, you know, try to memorize those conjugations. I wish that Memrise or Duolingo, I would love to see like a section or a lesson that just focused on conjugations only. That would be great. You're going to kind of have to do that on your own. So just learn your conjugations. If you need to, you know, practice. Sit down, write them, practice. I'm not a big, you know, sit down with a book and paper person, but for conjugations, I recommend it. Watching episodes of Extr or whatever other show you choose will help you with the conjugation as well, because you can see it in the subtitles, realize that that verb looks different, and then you're just going to kind of have to figure out how to do that. So there's my kitty. And yeah, get your listening practice in. That's how I got started learning Spanish. Pretty basic. It's not anything super hard. I just used the apps, learned the 1,000 frequency words, and I watched some episodes of Extr. So that's pretty much all I've got for today. This video is a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, so sorry about that. If you have any recommendations for me or anything that worked for you that you would like me to include in a future video, just let me know. My blog is at www.bilingualbailey.com. As always, I will put a link below for that as well. And I'm open to hearing any recommendations or things that worked for you that I can add or that I can use myself, because I'm always trying to improve and I am learning a new language right now. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna go eat lunch because I'm starving and I have to get back to work. Have a great day. Happy language learning.